So now this Narendra is strongly attached to Ramakrishna, because you see, he says he has found a place where spirituality can be experienced firsthand. Somebody who can dish out spirituality becomes closely attached to Sri Ramakrishna. Now the way Ramakrishna is training Narendra is quite unusual. You see, with others he would say, okay, Rakhal, sing and dance. Latu, serve me. Look after me, that's your job. With Narendra, he pulled out Ashtavakra Samhita. Ramakrishna knows all this stuff. He is unlettered, but he knows all the key scriptures of the Hindu tradition. He pulled out the Ashtavakra Samhita. Now, if any of you have studied Ashtavakra Samhita, if it doesn't thrill you, this is the height of Advaita Vedanta. Advait, purest of Advait. There is no room for Dvait there. It's most severe. You know, one of the critical comments says that the only limitation you have is you think you are limited. This is how it starts. You know, the only meditation you need is no meditation. You are that already. There's no room for all this meditation nonsense. This is the way Advait kind of Ashtavakra goes. It's a very high-powered philosophy. Very few people will get close to Advait Vedanta or to the idea of Ashtavakra. But see, look, just to show you what is this Advait all about. We hear about it that this unity that kind of links all of us is what Advaita is all about. You may think it's theorizing. It is not theorizing. You actually can experience Advaita. I'll give an example. When Ramkrishna had practiced Advaita with Totapuri, recognized his identity with this underpinning to this universe called Brahman or Atman, in that state, you know, when he was still in that mood, I tell you real example, you feel so much at one with the whole of the creation, that if you look at somebody, you feel one with that person. I'll give an example. One of these days, in this state of Advait, when Ramkrishna was standing near the bank of the river Ganga, two fishermen kind of came, stopped their boat, and they were having a quarrel. And Ramkrishna was watching and linking with that. They were having a quarrel. And one fisherman, you know, they are rough and ready. One fisherman got fed up and really smacked the other on the back really hard. You can hear the smack, boom, right across the bank of Ganga. Smacked him really hard. The moment he heard, Ramkrishna went, ouch! And his, Bane, Hriday came running. What happened, Mama? What happened? He said, I'm hurt. So Hriday, looked at the back. It was swollen and red. He could actually experience what that fisherman was getting. Because he became one, ouch. It transferred, physically transferred. The unity or the linkage that we have with the rest of creation is not just verbal. It is not just intellectual. It is real. You feel that. So whenever Ramkrishna in that mood, he is very delicate. You can hurt him. If you hurt anybody, you hurt him. Especially if he looks at him, he's hurt. I tell you how extensive this is. Sometimes, when you look at the grass in the temple garden, the grass, just ordinary grass, and somebody is mowing the grass, cutting the grass. If you look at it, or somebody is stepping on the grass, stepping on it, you go, oh, as if somebody is stepping on his chest. You have to take him away. So this Advaita is not just a mere intellectualizing. You actually can experience. And now, Narendra was the perfect candidate for Advaita. He has come to present that to the world. And it was necessary to train him. So the book that Ramkrishna took out to teach his disciple is Ashtavakra Samhita. People would shudder, nobody has heard the name. I tell you, if you want a thrill of your life, this is the most thrilling text of the Hindu tradition. I would say far more dynamic than the Upanishads. It still stays in the background because it's so severely Advait. There is no room for Dvait, nothing. It's purest Advait. So Ramkrishna started telling Vivekananda, you have to study this. Vivekananda said, no, I couldn't be bothered. And he's like that. He's very rude to his master. Calls him old man, fool, idiot. Look, we are not supposed to copy him and tell our teachers stuff like that. But he was very rough. So he said, nah, I'm not going to study. Then Ramkrishna said, look, can you read it out to me? I want to hear it. That's the excuse. So that boy has to read it. He said, read it out to me. I want to listen to it. So he read out. And he would hate, but he would start reading. And he would turn his page and read, unhappily, keep reading. The thing that comes out in Advaita is essentially all this is manifest in the same one appearing as many. So Vivekananda threw the book aside. This is nonsense, he said. This is nonsense. He went out and there was somebody equally kind of ridiculing Ramkrishna sitting outside. He found him. His name is Hajra. Is Hajra? This old man is mad. He's asking me to read this book. It must have been written by equally mad people. In the book it said, this pot is Brahman. This water is Brahman. This glass is Brahman. Now how ridiculous can you be? Everything is Brahman. How can everything be Brahman? This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever read. Must be written by some mad people. And he was making fun of Ramkrishna and Ashtavakra Samhita and Advaita Vedanta. This is Vivekananda, classic Vivekananda. He fought his master. He lived with his master for 6 years. These 6 years were real fun, sparks between the master and the disciple, real sparks, no hesitation. He said, what stupid thing this book is teaching about? This jug is Brahman, this glass is Brahman, this water, they are different, they're saying Brahman. They're asking me to believe that, and this is the height of philosophy written by mad people. And while they were laughing and making fun of it, Ramkrishna came out of his room, smiling, came near, standard stuff for Ramkrishna, and touched him. Don't do that, don't let him do that. Touched him. So Narayan said, I don't know what happened, but after he touched me, I looked around and I realized that everything is same. Everything is made of the same material. Same thing becoming manifest as all this different world. He said, I'll keep quiet. I see to how long this experience continues because I don't trust this experience. It may be just temporary problem with my brain. He was like that. I'll just keep quiet and see how long this experience lasts. He went in the state of mind home. When he went home, he felt that his body was not his own. It was somebody else's. Because he was kind of dazed mood. And his mother put some food on the plate and he would start eating. He said, the food and me and the body is same. He can't distinguish and still eating. So sometimes he would eat too much, he won't stop. Because he can't feel his body, he doesn't know his body is full now. He would keep eating. And they have to snatch the plate away. He said, enough. Or sometimes you don't eat at all. This went on. He would walk on the street. Look, these are his words. He said, I would walk on the street and I would see the horse and carriage rushing towards me. Now normally we kind of duck, we walk away. We don't stand in the front and embrace the horse and carriage. He said, I would stand in front of it because I can't see, I see the same thing. This and that is same. He doesn't want to take himself away. He said, somebody to pull me away, otherwise I'll get killed. He said, then I would go near that particular garden or whatever and I would see the railings. And I would hold the railings because it's when you look, imagine when you're having Advaita experience, you hold the railing but you think somebody else is doing it. It's not for real, like shadow. One shadow holding another shadow. He said, I would hit my head on it, on the railing to see if it's real. Because the whole thing appears one. He said, this experience lasted for many days. And then I put my hand and said, this Advaita is not nonsense. It can be experienced. With a touch, Ramkrishna got the highest experience in the most simplest words. One day this Vivekananda went to Ramkrishna and said, look, I want to be established in God realization and find mukti. I want to be released from this bondage of this life and become one with divine spirit. Please, please bless me so I get salvation, if you like the English word. Bless me so I do that. Ramkrishna looked at him in a very sad way. Oh dear, I didn't expect you would sink so low. Sink so low? Asking for salvation, Brahmagnan, in Ishwaragnan? I didn't think you'll sink so low, said Ramkrishna. Look at the language of the master. My boy, you are not here. This is like a beggar. This is so petty of you. You are not here for your own salvation, my boy. You are here for the salvation of whole of humanity. Why are you asking for such trivial thing? See? He lifted the student to his level, and that is why he was preparing this boy for greater work. I told you he has come to present the most comprehensive vision of spirituality, and Ramkrishna is aware that the aspect of spirituality that will engulf the whole world, not India, the whole world, is Advaita, giving dignity to humanity, lifting humanity to the level of God. This is the new vision of spirituality suited to this age. And Ramkrishna knew who is the carrier of this particular message. So he was preparing his tool, sharpening his tool. This Vivekananda was being prepared. turning into a very powerful tool of Advaita, this vision of spiritualizing humanity. New word, spiritual humanism. You are special not because you are a lump of matter, but you are the most clearest vision of spirit on earth, divinity of mankind. Not reserved for just some ascetic who goes and meditates in the caves, but for the whole of humanity. It had to be comprehensive, made available to the whole of humanity, not just to some few select. For this, he was training his disciple. And Vivekananda said, okay. But again, Ramkrishna would test Vivekananda too. And he would say, now you see, I've got this mother goddess, I did this tantra, I got this ashta siddhi, all these magical, miraculous powers, siddhis. And you're going to do great work for me in the future. So why don't I pass them on to you? Narayana said, keep it to yourself. I just want the highest, I don't want all this magic business. I want the highest experience. I don't want your siddhis. And Ramkrishna would smile. His student is ready. He was not going to get digressed easily. He is the right material. And this relationship continued. At later stage, Ramkrishna started to suffer from cancer. It's time for him to pass away, give up his body. At this time, well, I will not talk about that part, but during this part, one day he called Vivekananda to him. He said, come here, my boy, I am going to become a true fakir, a true ascetic today. Everything I have acquired, I wish to pass on to you. You are going to inherit, if you like, my spiritual wealth. And Swami Vivekananda said, I was sitting in front of him and I could feel tremendous, like a power coming from his body, entering my body, and went into deep meditation. In one of these days, when Swami Vivekananda was one day practicing meditation, and Ramkrishna was suffering, sitting upstairs in the room, and Vivekananda was struggling to meditate and close his eyes and go into deep meditation, suddenly, if these are his words, it's nice to hear what spiritual experience is all like. He said, I suddenly felt a light at the back of my head. Suddenly, imagine an image like this, and you suddenly see a light coming out from the back of your head and slowly engulfing your whole system, and you go into deep meditation. These are his words. I was feeling the highest bliss. The body sensation had disappeared. The idea, the nirvikalpa samadhi, the highest meditation, was what he achieved. And then, when he wanted to come back into the normal state, suddenly he could not find his body. I am telling you, these are his words. He said, I started shouting, hey, where is my body? The mouth is speaking, we can't feel the body, he can't feel the mouth. He is screaming, hey brothers, where is my body? So the brothers, disciples ran up to Ramkrishna and said, this guy is asking, where is his body? And Ramkrishna said, let him be like that. He's been bothering me all his life for this experience. Let him sit like that for a little bit more. Don't rush, leave him like that. You see, what Ramkrishna had promised, he had delivered. He is producing this powerful weapon of spirituality suited to the modern age. He produced a fireball called Swami. You see, look, here is this Ramakrishna, appears very rustic, laid back, hardly went outside his temple. In the little house, temple room, he stayed all his life. And yet he was molding, in the little room, he was molding various personalities who are going to change the face of spirituality and the face of modern religion. He was molding them, preparing them. And of course, the most masterful preparation was his master disciple, this chief disciple called Vivekananda. Here is the fireball he created. And the fireball is not meant for India. It is meant for the greater humanity, for the world. A modern proponent of religion can never look after the interests of just one brown-skinned people of one subcontinent, of the subcontinent. It must be relevant for the whole world. Otherwise, he is not truly a spiritual giant. He is still, if you like, a little kind of a minor phenomena just for the Indian subcontinent. He was not meant to do that. So he was preparing the tool that will universalize his message, not meant just for the Hindus in India, but for the whole of humanity. And this messenger, this fireball, is called Vivekananda. He picked it up, prepared it, and threw it to the West. He knew he was going to come to the West. So the preparation had begun. I'm going to stop there for the moment. You see, I'm just giving you small snippets of some of these marvelous personalities, if you examine their lives and see the kind of depth of their experiences and the kind of variation, you see, we can all learn from all of them, because the trials and tribulations and the way they interacted with this great master in a way is our trials and tribulation, because we face the same issues that they faced. How to experience God, what are the obstacles? They were facing the same issues that we face. In fact, I'm going to do now a short story about a householder disciple. I already talked about the monastic disciples, and I talked about Latu, talked about Rakhal, and talked about Narendra, Swami Vivekananda. I'm now going to just touch on the life of one of the household disciples, but we'll expand and there are so many very interesting personalities. I'll just give you some names like Girish Chandra Ghosh, Mahendranath M., the author of the Gospel of Ramkrishna. We'll talk about it in the later session. I'm going to do a session today. And one of the household disciples who is really very thrilling, just as Narendra is perhaps the king of the monastic disciples, this gentleman can be called the king of the householder disciple of Ramakrishna. So I'll just touch on this life. It's a big, look, when I studied it the first time, I'm not making it up, actually I had tears. I'll tell you why. I realized my shortcomings. To be a householder disciple of Ramakrishna, the amount of dedication required, the amount of discipline required, that it becomes visible in the life of this particular gentleman, made me feel so inadequate. Means I feel I'm nowhere near. You feel that, oh, what is this? What is this? It is that dramatic. Let me do the story. This is the story of somebody called Nag Mahashay or Durga Charan Nag. He lived in East Bengal. Again, came from a very poor family, lost his mother at a very young age. His father is nice but a little bit mean, a little bit tough, and he carries on with his father. Now, for him to continue with his studies, they found that the only school available was 10 miles away from his village, 10 miles. So the kindly aunt said, you can't travel 10 miles, 10 miles, and we don't have enough money for you to be able to stay in this place where there is a school. We don't have the money. And the only way you can study is 10-mile travel, and it's always walking. What else in that part of the world? So he said, it's going to be difficult, so give up your study. He said, no. He was a very focused gentleman. And you know what was the most unique feature about this personality that touched me? His steadfastness to truth. He will not compromise. And Ramakrishna says, in this age, the only discipline you require to become spiritual, only one discipline you require is steadfastness to truth. If you are established in truth, everything else will come to you. Just be established in truth. It will change your life forever. And when I look at the life of this Nag Mahashay, I see that here is a man established in truth. What do I mean by this? It doesn't mean that you go into a philosophical debate regarding what is ultimate truth and try and define. No. You basically make sure that you lead a life that complies with your own concept of truth. That's all. We all have an idea of what is true and what is not true, what is right, what is wrong, provided you are able to control your life, harness your life so that you do not overstep the mark and continue to maintain what you think is truthful, that is enough. That's all it says. And yet we fail, I fail all the time. It is so difficult because in the name of diplomacy, through carelessness, you say things which you can't do. Like I'll tell you, I'll meet you tomorrow, I don't know, but I keep saying things like that. These are not right. And this Nag Mahashay was a stickler. That was a little boy, stickler. You'll soon find out how when I do the story. Stickler. So he said, no problem, 10 miles, not a problem. This boy used to walk 10 miles to go to school and walk back home 10 miles from school. 10 miles each way, just to study. He wanted to study medicine. All the doctors turning up. Don't know, they're attracted to Ramakrishna somehow. So, and of course they didn't have money to medicine. He took on homeopathy because that's the easiest thing he can do in the village, homeopathy, kind of herbal medicine. He learned that, mastered that. And then the father and son decided to move to Calcutta for business. So set up a little clinic there. Now this Nag Mahashay is a unique doctor, homeopath. He would treat the patient and charge them the minimum, because the cost of the herbs are this much and the cost of just continuing for me to survive is this much. So this is my fee. He lived on the minimum. From time to time, he would find a patient who can't pay the fee. Of course, he can't pay for the medicine. Nagma said, not a problem. He said, no fee, I'll treat you for free. Does he stop there? No. This is India, Calcutta, what do you expect? He gets patients who can't not only pay for the medicine, they don't have enough to eat. So Nagma calls them to his clinic, gives them free medicine and gives them money to buy food. Now the father is getting agitated. His name is Din Dayal. He gets agitated. This boy, what is going to ruin us. This is not the way of running business. In fact, every Lohana father will deliberately stop his son from running of Sindhi, I'm pretty sure. This is not the way of doing business. So he used to get agitated, very worried. This boy is going to sell our house and home. What is he doing there? At the same time, you see, this part of the story I forgot to perhaps mention. This Din Dayal wanted his son to get married. And the son with folded hands said, Father, don't put me in hell. I don't want to marry. Father said, no. It's a very, boy who listens to his father. No, you have to get married. And what's the reason for Din Dayal insisting? Because he wants to continue with the lineage, kind of a continuity of the family tree. So this is the reason why he's pressurizing him. In a way, this is a sad thing, that somehow we think that we can get, eternal life if we can leave some seeds behind that continue to flourish. It is silly completely, but this is how most human beings think, that somehow they will maintain a continuity if they have a lineage that carries on. So this Din Dayal, you get married, forced him. Again, real story, this is in the village before they came to Calcutta. So he was married against his wishes, but this boy could not stand the idea of physical contact. He never able to stand the contact by a woman. Look, again, a modern youth, forget it, you stand no chance. That's why I said I felt myself highly inadequate when I saw this, when I read this story. So this is real story, you make you laugh and at the same cry and say, what to do with this boy? So he's married, his wife is in the bedroom, this guy doesn't go in the bedroom, he doesn't sit outside on the veranda even, he can't risk it, he climbs a tree and sits on the branch at night. I'm not making it up. So all nights he spent on the branch. I don't know how he must be hanging on to the tree just not to fall off. Just to protect him, make sure the wife doesn't come out and touch him, he climbs up, every night he's sleeping like that. This was going on. And then, you see, the story says, suddenly the wife died. So he said, hurry, I can come down the tree now. I wish the wife a long life, but this is what happened. But do you think Din Dayal will be happy? He said, no, second wife. Standard in India. Your wives come and go. So second wife. He forced again with folded hands, said, Father, don't make me do this. No, my son, it's order. You are my son. Remember the scriptures. Obey me. Second time. But this time the wife was helpful. The first one would have knocked him out. The second one was helpful. She recognized the greatness of the soul and never bothered him, stood by him, helped him. And all was a steadfast help throughout the rest of his life. The second wife stood by. Now, during this process, while he was treating some patients, there was a rich patient he treated. The patient was very seriously ill, about to die, and he recovered. And the patient was so pleased. Normally, he struggles to get his money. Here he came with a basket full of silver coins. This is ancient India, 100-year-old India. So silver coins will be available. Whole basket offers. And Din Dayal is watching, his mouth watering. We are doing well today. And this, Nagma looked at the money and said, this is not my fee. My fee is so many rupees, some kind of trivial amount. Take the coins back. And Din Dayal is jumping up and down, you see. He sent the money away, took a few rupees, that's my fee. Thank you. I can't take more than what I deserve. See, I told you, stickler for truth. Can't do it. It just goes against my moral fabric. Can't do it. And then they are mad. I'm doing the funny story because you see the depth of this person. He said, what are you trying to do? Now you see, if you're Gujarat, you would say, bhukhe marsu, then you're going to die of starvation. But in Bengal, they do a different language. They say, what will you do? You'll be kind of naked and you'll be living on dead frogs. Means you no clothes to wear and eat dead frogs. That's the way you sustain yourself. That's the language they use in that part of Bengal. That's what I read in the book. The moment he said that, what will happen now? You will have to live naked and on dead frog. The moment he said this, I told you this guy is a stickler. He took off his clothes, went into the garden, found a dead frog and started to eat it. He ate it and he said, "Father, I fulfill your wishes." I am free of You see, this is a real story in our world. This is Nag Mahashaya, unusual character. Now you see, time has come for him to meet his master. So one of the disciples, or the disciple I not talked about, took him to visit Ramkrishna for the first time. And he sits with folded hands at the feet of Ramkrishna. Again, Ramkrishna, like Latu, he looks and says, "Oh dear, what have you brought here?" It's a fire full of renunciation. What have you brought here? Renunciation and nothing else here. Blazing fire of renunciation. What a marvelous personality. And then Nag Mahashaya said, "Maharaj, please, can you make me a monk? I would like to become a monk." And Ramkrishna said, "Look, you are very special. You are going to tell the world how you can lead a householder's life and yet be spiritual. I want you to continue to lead a householder's life. You will be the best example of a householder who leads a spiritual life. You will be that example. So I am ordering you not to become a monk." Stopped him. You see, Ramkrishna gave different instruction to different youngsters who came to him. So Nag Mahashaya said, "You carry on. You are the perfect example." So Nag Mahashaya continued his own way. Then they are jumping up and down, and life carried on. But he was such a lovely, gentle person. He could never utter a ill word towards anybody. Even if they mistreated him, he could never say ill about anybody. And if anything slipped out of his mouth, he would pick up look, again, don't try it at home. He would pick up a stone and hit his head, saying, "How dare you be nasty to someone? Why did you use that critical comment?" He would hit himself with a stone. There was a story in Harry Potter or something. There was a character who was doing that, wasn't it? So this Nag Mahashaya was doing stuff like that. And somebody had to take the stone away from him, otherwise he'll keep bleeding. His life was like that. And you see, if, for example, he lived in a thatched hut where the roof would keep leaking every monsoon, the roof would be leaking, you would keep repairing it again and again. But this Nag Mahashaya cannot give trouble to anybody. So he would, the wife would wait. When he's gone out, she would find a roofer, "Come here quickly and repair before he gets back." Because he can't trouble anybody, even if you are paying him. You can't trouble anybody. So one day, a roofer had gone up and was trying to, and Nag Mahashaya kept, "He is doing so much for us. This is not on." He climbed up. He said, "Look, I will do it. You come down, and I'll make a hookah for you and have something to eat and drink, and I'll fan you, and I give you money for coming. I'll sort it out. Sorry to have given you so much trouble." So he's giving him money while he's doing his work and fanning him and offering him tea and saying sorry. You see, this is Nag Mahashaya. Can a person like that be alive? Could he have lived? Think. Incredible. This was his whole life. His mannerism was incredible. Example of a householder's life.